Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Moffat, and I am the head of sales and market development here at Purely CRM, and we're really happy to have you with us. And for this next hour, we'll try to stay on track and on time. To say that this is an interesting time that we're living in would be an understatement. Who would have thought a year ago we'd be in the position we're in? But today we're not going to dwell on the negative. We're going to talk about how we can address the challenges that are associated with this situation that we're in. And we're delighted to have Microsoft with us this morning. And before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to give you an idea of what you can expect over the next hour in terms of agenda. So after my brief introduction, we'll look forward to hearing from Cassaundra Laundry from Microsoft to provide a Microsoft point of view on addressing customer challenge or the challenges of meeting customer demands in these difficult times. And then we're going to get into a real life story, and one of our partners here, Ron at Purely CRM, will join us, and he will talk through in conjunction with discussion with Microsoft on how we addressed their particular needs. So I'd like to briefly just touch on who we are at Purely CRM. Of course, we're a Microsoft Dynamics partner, and we are 100% focused on the Microsoft Dynamics 365 customer engagement platform. You may have heard of it as CRM, or Customer Relationship Management Solution. And it has four main components: the sales, marketing, customer service, and field service. And we provide end-to-end implementation services, cloud migration services, integration services, BI and reporting, and much more across a number of industries. And these are some of our customers, both large and small, and everything in between. So we're quite proud of the work that we've done, and are excited to be a part of the Microsoft ecosystem. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Cassaundra Laundry. Now, Cassaundra is the Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft. And we're delighted to have her here with us. And she's going to now speak to you for the next few minutes on how Microsoft really is stepping up to meet the challenge today. So over to you, Cassaundra.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. And I'm super excited to be invited by Purely CRM to represent Microsoft today. As Chris said, my name is Cassaundra Laundry. I'm a product marketing manager at Microsoft Canada for all things D365 customer engagement, including the apps of sales, customer service, field service, marketing, and customer insights. And like Chris said, I'm going to take you through our point of view as it's related to customer service as we move through each stage of the response to COVID-19. So we are in a world of remote everything. Overnight, I probably would have been with you in person for this conversation today. And as we look forward in the immediate near term, these are scenarios that we are hearing about most frequently that are the areas of obstacles, on a day-to-day basis that the function of customer service runs across. Chris, if you can click next for me, that would be great. So as you can see, remote selling, curbside, secure remote teamwork, these are all the areas. And of course, underneath each of those is customer service. But just moving forward, every organization is different. And our experiences may very well look different than yours. But in our discussion with businesses around the world, we're starting to see a pattern emerge. Today, we're helping customers adapt and respond in real time. Next, we're seeing a focus on restarting the economy. And longer term, we anticipate a need to reduce costs, and we'll work alongside our customers to shape the future and realize new opportunities and new revenue lines of business for them. Now, everyone's at different stages of these phases, and geography and industry will probably play a significant impact on how your organization will move through each of these. But today I'm going to mostly focus on navigating the now and planning for what's coming next across all the pain points and the solutions. The COVID-19 crisis has rapidly changed the way that we live and work, and we've all seen changes in our businesses and certainly our lives as consumers as well. You guys know this best. Customer service centers have seen a 2 times increase in difficult calls within their centers. You know, obviously sellers and other professionals can no longer build those in-person relationships with their customers. And I think this one's really interesting because it came on so suddenly and there's still so many unknowns. Only 2% of organizations believe that their business can continue as normal, whatever that may be, after COVID-19. And a lot of consumers, myself included, have now shifted to buying online and picking up at the curbside model. But customer service landscape was already transforming long before COVID came along. The impact of automation can have profound effects on productivity and the customer experience. AI and robotics, if implemented and managed well, can help deliver the promised benefits of improved customer service, customer analytics, and ultimately business intelligence for you. And it's important for organizations to have clear business cases for AI, robotics, and automation, which leads me to the connected customer journey. A full omni-channel strategy, back one, Chris. A full omni-channel strategy is a reality for just 7.2% of organizations. And finally, an estimated $75 billion of revenue was lost by US companies in 2017 due to poor customer service. And I think we could safely assume that that number has certainly increased year on year. Over the next few slides, I'll share a deeper look into some of the trends we're seeing across the customer service domain through the lens of loyalty, customer behavior, customer experience, personalized service, and artificial intelligence. But you can see here that as we bring together all of this research, the customer journey typically has these stages. These experiences are probably very familiar to us from a B2C organization, but they're equally valuable and part of the journey in a B2B organization. And they span across the organizational units of marketing, sales, and customer service. But there are pain points at every stage. And today I'm going to really talk about how to address them. At a time of crisis, it often brings out the best and sometimes the worst in organizations' infrastructure and their process. You may have felt these pain points really amplified over the last 3 to 4 months. So I'm now going to deep dive on each of these, and as we go through, I'm really curious to see how they resonate with you and where you are in your proactive customer service journey. So starting with customer loyalty, it's all about the customer experience and the revenue generated from happy customers. According to business.com, returning customers spend up to 67% more than new customers. And when you match that to the high cost of acquiring new customers, which is on average 6 to 7 times more expensive than retaining a customer, focusing on customer retention, it really just makes great financial sense. Moving on to support channels. If your customer support organization only supports the traditional phone and email support channels, you're likely missing out on an opportunity to meet or exceed your customers' expectations. The omni-channel experience is important as nearly 60% of customers surveyed use 3 or more channels to get questions answered. And these channels are not only contributing to a positive customer experience, but they're often actively used. Research is also indicating that 2/3 of customers want to try to solve issues themselves before they go to by using a self-servicing offering. So it naturally makes sense that if customers want to solve issues through self-service, you overwhelmingly need to have a self-service portal. But having the portal, unfortunately, is not enough. Customers are increasingly impatient. And according to research, 50% of customers will only search on their own for 5 to 15 minutes before connecting with an agent. So if your portal isn't performing due to, poor quality, or maybe the content isn't great, you're only going to further add to customer frustration. Now, turning to customer experience. Never underestimate the power of great customer experience. Even the briefest of negative interactions can have a huge impact on the lifetime value a customer holds for your company. I imagine many of you are already subscribed to this idea. But remember, returning customers buy more than first-time buyers. And 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a great customer experience. And considering 73% of people are saying that their experience with a brand does have impact on their purchase decision, that experience is more valuable than even fantastic advertising. And it pays to deliver a consistent, positive customer experience. So it's clear that exceptional customer service is going to pay off in increased revenue. Now, turning to personalization, it can be a major pain point for many customer service organizations. Because without the proper tools, it takes far more time and effort to deliver a truly personalized experience to every person who contacts your support team. Personalization has become integral to the customer journey, and it's also a key driver of brand loyalty across all channels. 63% of consumers say that they not only expect personalization, but they're much more likely to buy from brands who are leveraging personalization tools as well. Customer service leaders agree that personalization is key to the future of automation, meaning leveraging AI to enhance personalization within customer service. And companies that listen and respond to customer interaction drive higher brand engagement and advocacy. Personalization can also improve customer retention and have a direct impact on your bottom line. According to one study, 93% of companies with advanced personalized strategies increased their revenues in 2018. However, only 21% of customer service leaders are truly able to deliver on that, which means businesses have a great opportunity to bridge this space and take advantage of that revenue, but also build a competitive advantage. Turning to the next one, which is virtual agents. As chatbots and virtual agents become more prevalent in customer service scenarios, a major pain point here is how to figure out measuring the success of the bot versus the success of your live team. Well, according to Gartner, this year, 85% of consumer interactions will be with virtual agents, and a quarter of customer service and support operations will integrate chatbots across engagement channels, and that's just going to continue to increase over time. If one of your goals is to improve customer experience, then virtual agents or bots is likely a path that you want to investigate. There's really two buckets where we're seeing great impact so far. AI-powered solutions enable organizations to generate highly personalized messages at scale that simply can't be achieved by humans alone. And AI-enabled bots can be used to improve the customer experience by reducing time to response. Businesses that are deploying chatbots are seeing a reduction in call, chat, or email inquiries by up to 70%. The D365 customer service perspective on solving these pain points really runs across the customer, the agent, and the customer service manager. So as we look across of how we bring and we can help solve some of these solutions, we really think about this in a few different ways. We think about it from the perspective of personalization of service, empowering people, and unifying technology, which I'll go through each of them in some detail now. Next one. Thanks. So as we think about the personalization of service, this really comes down to providing that full omni-channel experience that I spoke about earlier to help you personalize service, but across all channels. AI-enabled insights provides the ability to proactively resolve problems and ensure peace of mind. For the majority of us, the omni-channel experience often brings self-service, which we talked about earlier. So having a place where customers can solve issues on their own is a big initial win in terms of meeting expectations and providing that effortless service experience. And self-service models that are now just as effective as agents, it really allows the agents to work on more complex issues, support organizations that can automate resolution with virtual agents or bots. And Microsoft has the deepest AI framework in the market. So the bots can be built to leverage capabilities like natural language processing and machine learning to create an experience that is smart, conversational, and fast, but still has the ability to synthesize and consider information about the customer, along with other data sources to provide, not just an experience that's available 24/7, but that can also add real value. Key outcomes of connected data, apps, and channels is the ability to provide a truly personalized experience. Connected experiences across channels and connected data across sources creates an unmatched view of the customer, which provides the agents with the context they need to deliver highly personalized service. That data also is critical to understanding insight into customers to understand what they're going to need next. Whether that's through emerging trends or connected devices, customer service organizations are able to now get in front of issues and move from being reactive service to proactive care. Now, turning to the agents, to your employees. Dynamics 365 customer service provides people the right tools to intelligently handle routine requests, but to also better manage more complex issues. Dynamics 365 offers guided, intelligent service and support on any channel. It's a process-driven UI with a unique ability to work with existing systems and providing agents with the right resources and data exactly when they need it. And as mentioned earlier, most agents are using several applications and data sources during the course of solving a single customer inquiry. So our solutions allow organizations to integrate and automate across D365, but also legacy and other third-party applications and data sources. It's really helping keep the agents in just a single interface, which is deeply intuitive, and it helps the agents onboard more quickly, and it makes them just as effective as their tenured peers. Dynamics guidance to the next best action helps them solve cases faster and avoid escalations. This is improving productivity dramatically, and then they have the context and visibility they need to provide highly personalized service. Because we've talked a little bit more about omnichannel versus others this morning, I just want to click in and take a deeper dive at this one. I like this particular view. Perfect. I like this particular view because you can see just how many channels the customers can engage with you, which can be a little bit scary, but leveraging the entire ecosystem, not only from D365 customer service, but also the partner ecosystem, including Purely CRM, you can have all of these channels lit up, but still be inside of that single interface. The last way in which we look at really solving these challenges is unifying the technology. Unifying technology to simply orchestrate experiences through a 360-degree view of the customer journey. Our customer service organizations are thinking about ways to optimize onboarding, address ongoing training and change management, and create consistently high-quality service experiences. Chris, do you mind just taking me to the next one? Thank you. And it's really easy. I think you've heard that from me a few times now, but to see the actual performance metrics themselves. We empower business users to define and create efficient and consistent processes around the service experience with the tools that you also need to manage any change. Rising customer expectations have increased pressure on brands and crown customer service king. But empowering every employee with custom apps, it's also going to provide them with the right data and insights they need to create better customer engagement experiences overall. But I think one of the best ways to actually light all of this up for you is to talk to you about a couple of different customer stories that we have. Since 2000, Moneris, many of you are probably familiar with it. They've been offering business industry leading payment solutions, and they really try to make doing business easy. But they had a legacy ticketing system which was hindering their support efficiency kind of overall. So they ultimately were focused on ensuring that the entire customer journey was present, including everything that they knew their field technicians have been doing, and they wanted to bring that into the view as well. They also were able to surface up the script and the next logical offer that the agents could position. And overall, the impact that they have seen is the first call resolution has increased to over 90%. And they are saving $2 million a year due to this transformation. But when we think about a time of crisis, this story is really outstanding and one that has come to life most recently. When COVID-19 hit Australia, within the space of a week, the Australian Red Cross has implemented D365 customer service to allow them to have its specially trained volunteers to call those who are in home isolation and check on their well-being every day. It's a form of psychological first aid, and it's critically important for people in the community who may not otherwise have contact outside. The solution allows the Red Cross volunteers to contact people safely from their own homes. So again, reducing the risk and the virus spreading. The system's technical foundations come from Dynamics 365 customer service, but Power BI is also being leveraged to show the call volumes and the volume of responses that they're getting. And finally, they're leveraging a Forms Pro to create and configure the question and answer screens that volunteers are leveraging when speaking to those that they're calling. A partner also integrated D365 customer service with Red Cross's existing telephony system so that the users truly only have to navigate within one interface. But I thought maybe what would be best, since I'm here with Purely CRM today, would be to invite Ron to come and talk to us and talk a little bit about the impact that he has seen of COVID-19. So Ron, thank you so much for joining me. Please take the time to introduce yourself to our guest. And I'd also just love to know right off the top, what have been some of your observations about how COVID-19 has impacted the customer service industry?
Sure. Hi, my name is Ron. I'm a senior solution architect and partner with Purely CRM. I've been a CRM consultant for more than 25 years now, believe it or not, and have been working with the Dynamics CRM products since version 3. I spend every day in the field with customers implementing the solution. The last project that I implemented that just went live was for a major airline in the US for their customer service functionality.
That's great. Thank you for that. So let's go ahead and get into it. I've just talked about the rising increase of customer expectations, and the volume of customers who want personalized service has certainly increased in the last 3 to 4 months. How have you observed customers trying to respond to the demand due to COVID-19?
Well, with the airline, we saw that there was an increase in the number of cases they were getting dramatically from what they were getting in a 1-year period, a 12-month period. They were now receiving it in 1 month. It went from a 12-month period right down to a 1-month period. They were receiving the same amount of cases. It was unbelievable what they had to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had a couple of property management companies that we've been working with that have started tracking employees going to and from all the buildings they manage as a method of using case management to assist with the COVID crisis. And it's extending beyond just one department in an organization. We're seeing these changes happen across more than just customer service. And it's affecting people working remotely, and they still have to maintain that level of service.
Yeah, and just digging in on that a little bit more, especially with the airline, I know that often, we really focus on just improving the customer service platform, but, we think it's extremely powerful when we help break down silos across the organization. So can you just tell me a little bit about that project? Were there any areas where they kind of decided to stretch a little bit outside of their organization?
Right. Well, if we look at within the customer service department, if we look specifically at the baggage group that handles luggage refunds, baggage refunds that happen, that group we changed how they did their work by integrating them fully with their finance and accounting departments. So typically the way the process worked was you'd have somebody in the baggage group of the customer service department would be recording a refund request, printing it out on a spreadsheet, having that person then get it signed off by a manager, walking that over to the refunds group within the customer service department that would then batch up all of those refunds into one larger spreadsheet, which would then get walked over to the finance department. who would then record the journal entry, which then takes it to the accounting department to cut the check, which then comes back to finance, which then goes back to refund to close out the whole process. So we moved to an electronic approval process online, and with dashboards in both the baggage group and the refund group, and in the finance department and in the accounting department. And because we automated that entire process, we've seen a speed up in the time it takes to do the refunds that have been happening during this baggage time, during this COVID time. And not only speed up the service to provide better customer service, but it's enabled the employees to work remotely to do this as well. Because now each department remotely has a dashboard where they receive cases that are coming in, that are queued up, that move through queues that are seen on dashboards. So it's empowered the employees to work remotely. So we've been quite happy.
Yeah, you know, and with the refunds too, it's not just, hey, the refunds are faster, but also right now, I mean, some people are in significant economic crisis. So I love that, you know, this simplification has probably allowed the company to now lead with a little bit more empathy in getting those refunds done faster as well. I think that's great. You know, just picking up on kind of the remote agents, I think we're all a version of that right now. But one of the biggest obstacles actually that we've observed, you know, has actually been around the devices, and then people being able to use those devices to connect from anywhere that they are in the world. Are you observing that as a blocker in your world as well?
Yeah, again, an example with the airline that just went live. The employees in the customer service group, they used to have to remotely log in through a VPN access to then go to a Cisco dashboard where they had access to all their applications in the organization. And because we went with Dynamics in the cloud, and our Dynamics system was integrated with their other systems in finance and accounting and other groups as well, it meant they no longer needed to VPN in. They could just log in with their Office 365, or sorry, Microsoft 365 account, and could go to the Dynamics system that we had for them, and with centralized dashboards. And they have people not just in the US. They're first of all, they're located across the entire US, their customer support group. They're also located in most countries in Central America, as well as the Philippines for a call center. And so from the Philippines to all of the Americas to across the US, all of these customer support groups were now using a centralized dashboard for Dynamics, which was a big deal. We also have another customer that's a federally funded group in Canada that does autism work, where they have people that respond to their customer support questions across the country, you know, from the Atlantic all the way to the BC coast up to the north and the territories. And now with centralized dashboards and proper queue management, we're now letting all these people work remotely in their own time zones and picking up cases when they need to pick them up.
Yeah, that's amazing work. I mean, if we think about the role of time zones these days, everybody has the flexibility to make their own schedules. You know, people might be picking up part-time jobs. So I think it's really important to be able to empower people, you know, to work when kind of is best for them, and make sure they have the tools for that. And, you know, just staying on the topic of agents, I imagine something that keeps, you know, our guests up at night is their employee engagement and satisfaction. How have you seen organizations try to address employee engagement satisfaction as they've gone through this transformation?
Well, again, going back to the example with the airline, they had siloed groups within their customer support group. So you have luggage, you've got disability, you've got emotional support animal, you've got Department of Transportation cases, you've got social media cases that are coming in. And all of these groups were siloed, and people working in one group couldn't just easily jump over to work in another group. So with better queue management and having everything in one centralized system for case management, it's enabled their employees to now work in each one of those groups as they see fit. So what used to be a siloed job where I just worked in luggage, which can get tedious after a while, that they are now able to take cases that were coming in for, let's say, emotional support animals, which is much more rewarding than just working on a luggage case all the time, or Department of Transportation legal issues. So yeah, we've seen through proper queue management, employees could handle more than what they would normally work on, which gave them variety in their work and was much more exciting for the employees to work on. Yeah, we also implemented a round robin system of assigning cases to the employees, so they couldn't cherry pick just the good cases for themselves. And implementing a round robin system of assigning cases in a queue and setting them to those to be worked on meant they were getting a variety of cases, and we evenly distributed the workload across all the agents, so agents were covering for each other much better. So yeah,
that's great. Some very practical things being implemented just through queue management to keep employees engaged, which hopefully will lead to greater satisfaction. So that's great. But turning our attention maybe more to the customer side, we've talked a lot today. There's just so many different channels that customers can communicate their needs. And I shared that view across the omni-channel of all the different ways the satisfied and the unsatisfied customers are talking. What do you think organizations can really do to kind of capture as much feedback as possible?
Well, with the airline implementation that happened, they were using Sprinkler. A lot of our customers might be familiar with Sprinkler to handle all of the social media cases that came in. So you can imagine the "you lost my guitar" case coming in over Twitter. And that would normally come into the marketing department, because the marketing department is focused on monitoring social media, not the customer support department. But they need to easily be able to communicate between each other. So we enabled a system where a Sprinkler issue came in via, let's say, Twitter, and they were easily able to promote that to a case. And we popped it directly into a queue, round robin assigned it to somebody, and it would show up on their dashboard. And so what used to be a difficult process of getting the marketing department, which are located in a different part of the building than the customer support group, to be able to hand over the case, this was now happening electronically and seamlessly. In addition to that, we integrated with the loyalty management system and with the reservation system. So we could easily see a case come in from social media in the marketing department, where, let's say, somebody even said something positive, like, "Thank you for the great service I got from that airline steward who helped my child on the plane." That case could then be transferred to a case in the customer support team, who then had the loyalty management system to be able to quickly see who this person was in the loyalty management tier, and maybe they were a frequent flyer, and we could now give them some additional flying points for saying thank you, and comp them on their reservation system directly with the integration with the reservation system. So integrating the loyalty management system, the social media management system, and their reservation system with the case management system brought in the entire picture of the customer. It even went so far as they were integrated with other third-party systems where we could tell if a customer was, they called them no frillennials, or a family flyer, or a grateful getawayer, or an affluent flyer. So we had a 360-degree view of the customer, and then you were able to better support the customer that way.
Wow, it's amazing that they kind of brought in so many pieces, and I think I'm going to be a grateful getawayer when all of this is over. So that's awesome. And I just love hearing about, how the Purely CRM customers are on that path to getting the 360-degree view and thinking about each of those components that they can bring in. I have to tap into your 25 years of experience. What do you think really leads to the best implementations of customer service and managing through that change?
Right. The biggest thing for me is change management, and that's what enables user adoption. And so change management, not in the sense of an IT sense of, well, what are we going to change in the system, but change management in terms of handling how things are moving for the end users that are going to have to use the system. So we set up a regular cadence of meetings once a week with senior management that sponsored the project. So with the project sponsors and ourselves, the development team in the room, communicating to the users on a constantly weekly basis, saying, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's when they can expect the rollout to happen, here's how your job duties are going to change, and here's how you can be involved in the rollout. And by regularly communicating that with them on a weekly basis, and then at the end, we spread it out a little more to a monthly cadence from a weekly cadence. It meant when the users got the system, they weren't unaware of it, and they had been brought in and bought in to the entire process by answering those who, what, when, where, why questions for change management along the way. So that was a very big deal for us. The other thing we do that a lot of companies may not always agree on is I'm a firm believer in having a fixed delivery date. Fix that delivery date and change the scope. Don't push the delivery date trying to fit more scope in. Deliver on that date that you said you would and change scope a little bit, and that with the change management. And then you can roll out new features afterwards as well. So that's what's been the most important thing for, I think, for the success of CRM.
This phrase pops into my mind as you're talking about not changing the date, which is progress over perfection, right? And taking some steps forward and then working to refine it as you go, to your point, and getting better and getting that initial feedback, I think is always so important. So thank you for joining me and letting me tap into your experience. I think that our guests probably learned a lot too, and talking so much about an airline gets me super excited maybe to work with one again and be a customer of one again. And just kind of closing out, as Microsoft, we truly are here to help with your journey to a proactive customer service. Right now, we actually have 2 offers that provide free licenses up to 6 months across both customer service and field service. We haven't talked a ton today about field service, which I understand, but a lot of what leveraging the remote assist offer is about is making sure that your technicians, while they're out in the field, can provide world-class service, and most importantly right now, still maintain their own health and safety. So I want to make sure that you knew that we had those offers, and I'll pass it over to Chris to talk about how Purely CRM 2 is here to help you kind of on this journey, especially right now and as part of your response to COVID-19.
Well, thank you very much. To both of you, Cassaundra and Ron, for that interesting conversation about how in the real world your Microsoft solutions are being utilized. And yes, in regards to supporting the current situation, we too at Purely CRM have an offer that we would like to make known, and that is in conjunction with what Microsoft is offering, is a complimentary half-day customer service strategy assessment. And really the purpose of this is simply to help us understand your current service or customer service strategy, and then we'll explore together ways that we can optimize it using Dynamics 365 as the hub or as the solution to accomplish that. And of course, if you'd like to find out about either offers, feel free to get in touch with me, either by email, telephone, or of course, I'm available on LinkedIn. So let's move on to Q&A. And let's see here. I'm just going to have a look and see what questions we have. All right, the first one, which I'll just push to the audience here so we can all see it, is how do organizations typically measure their customer service efficiency through stages of support? And the example, for example, ticket created to resolution over time, perhaps involving supporting legacy applications like financial transactions. Is this functionality configured during implementation? So yeah, how do organizations typically measure their customer service efficiency is the question.
Chris, do you want me to
Sure.
take that?
Get you to.
So, yeah, because we have the key thing at the airline was time to resolution. So how long did between when a case came in to when the case was closed? And we did have the service level agreements set up, and each of the groups within the customer service department had different service level agreement levels. So for Department of Transportation, the time that you had to get back to the DOT was much different than the time you needed to get back to a customer for luggage and for disabilities, let's say, or for group reservations. So they were different, but time to resolution was key. So we had dashboards that were showing live stats for the managers. We had manager dashboards. We also had supervisor dashboards. Each group had a supervisor, and that rolled up to a manager of the department, and they had different dashboards where we tracked the time that the ticket came in. We never used Power BI. We were able to leverage the out-of-the-box Microsoft Dynamics chart functionality to say the length of time the ticket, from when the ticket came in, the time to resolution, to when the case status reason was changed to resolved. And we're tracking both of those times. And so we were able to chart that for them. We also had charts between how long the ticket came in to when the ticket was picked up and worked on by an agent. So we're also tracking that time as well. And again, we had them both in dashboards and live using out-of-the-box chart functionality for supervisors. It's not that difficult, believe it or not. But you do have to mark down you do have to pay attention to the business need for why you're recording it to make sure you capture the right one for your business. Yeah. Did that make sense? I think.
Thank you, Ron. No, that was great. And and we have another question here, and it is following on with what you mentioned about change management. And he mentions here important comment regarding importance of change management and implementation. How does Purely CRM address this in an implementation?
Okay. Well, we like to work with so we work in an agile method on most of our projects now. So that means on the business side, there'll be someone designated as a product owner who helps manage our backlog. That product owner that is representing the business for the case management items, we will set up with them regular meetings between them and work with them and the project sponsors to see who's going to sit in to have these weekly meetings. So we're adamant that we have a weekly meeting, or at least if we're not going to have a weekly meeting, we need a weekly email that's going out to the end users. And again, it's the end users in answering that. Why are we doing this? When are you going to be impacted? How your job is going to change? How you can help us along the way. and how you can be involved in the rollout. So we're adamant that that happens either as a weekly email, or we'd rather have a weekly Q&A session with the end users. It needs to be a 45-minute meeting with the business once a week, just to say, here's the change that's coming down the road. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ron. I'm just looking here and we actually have no further questions. So I'll just give it a couple seconds here. If someone has a question they'd like to ask, it's usually your opportunity. Otherwise, we're going to give you back 15 minutes today. So we'll just have a quick look here. Well, it looks like we're no questions. Well, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. We will follow up with you and send you an abbreviated copy of this presentation and how to get in touch with us, as well as the information on the offers that we have made. So we want to thank you for attending the event today, and we hope you found it informative, and we look forward to seeing you again. So bye for now.
Thank you.